Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Obviously I'm in bed. It's a Sunday night and I just didn't feel like getting up, but I did want to start this reading vlog because for this video we are going to be reading new releases. I feel like I'm gonna have a book hangover when this one ends. It just got good. The first major update is that I have basically been reading it wrong. Because I've cried like 4 times while reading this book. There's a bunch of anticipated releases that have come out within the past few weeks and I want to read a few of them because there's so many to pick from. The first book we're going to be reading is Sunrise on the Reaping by the Queen, the Legend, Suzanne Collins. I've been reading this book for like a week and I'm on page 214, so I'm definitely like halfway or a little bit over halfway through it. It has been so fun to get back into the world of Suzanne Collins writing and just like the Hunger Games and Pan Am. Like I feel like a 12-year-old girl again in the best way. For me, the Hunger Games was like the first book I remember reading as like a tween that I binged. I was also so obsessed with the Hunger Games. Like I went to watch it in theaters like 7 times, which is just so unhinged for a 13-year-old. Like it's just so extra. This is a prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. I think the thing I've been enjoying most is just getting to go into it and read like a new story about the world because like I said, it's been so long since I've gotten to like be obsessed with it. There was one before this called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I feel like most of us have heard of. It was a movie. I didn't read the book because I didn't hear great things about it. Plus I was just not super interested in President Snow's like backstory. This one, which is Haymitch's backstory, and I mean, if you've seen the Hunger Games, he's such a key character. Like he just has such a heart of gold, and I feel like that even shows through in the Hunger Games when he's like mentoring Katniss and Peeta, and you get to see like where that all comes from and just how heartbreaking it was for him and his experience getting reaped into the games. And I'm barely getting to the point where like he is in the arena, and it's just really cool because you're also seeing characters like Effie and Plutarch, which you see like later in the Hunger Games trilogy and what they end up developing into. It's obviously really sad that like this is happening to them and it's a really unfortunate situation, but oh my gosh, is it so interesting. Like I cannot believe she dreamed up this entire world in her head as an author. I thought this was the perfect time to tell you guys about my new favorite discovery, which is Henry Rose fragrances. If you have not heard of Henry Rose, it was started by Michelle Pfeiffer after she spent years and years trying to find a fine fragrance line that would disclose its ingredients and used clean and healthy standards within their fragrances, and she was unable to find it, so she decided to start Henry Rose herself. And I love the philosophy behind the brand because I can be really sensitive to fragrances, and so I am always searching for perfumes that are clean and won't irritate my body or my skin. This one that I'm holding right here is called Dave, and the scent itself is like a chantilly vanilla with some floral notes and also like the rich gourmand of cocoa bean and tonka bean, and it is just so delicious. I love a vanilla scent, but I hate when they are just too almost like one-dimensional. I wanted something that's a little bit more elevated, a little bit more sophisticated, which is exactly what she had in mind when formulating this. If you are looking for your next signature scent, then make sure to check out henryrose.com, and if you use my code Annika25, you will actually get $25 off your first full-size fragrance, which is such a good deal, guys. Thank you so much to Henry Rose for sponsoring this video, and I will have all their info in the description so that way you can check them out. So I finished my first new release and I just enjoyed this book so much. Honestly, just as much as I thought I was going to. Initially when Suzanne Collins started publishing prequels, I feel like I was like, what is really like, what context would even be interesting to add to the Hunger Games? But I feel like giving the backstory of characters is actually like a really fun way to continue this world. For me, I rated this a 4.5 stars. I feel like that's a really good rating. That is me thoroughly enjoying a book. I think maybe the only reason it wasn't 5 stars is because I compare it to my experience of reading the Hunger Games, like the original trilogy, and I'm like, that is for sure 5 stars. Like nothing can top that story for me. Still being a fan of the Hunger Games makes this worth it. If you're not a fan of the trilogy, if you really could care less to keep reading about the world of like Panem and the districts, I don't think you would honestly enjoy this. It very much follows the plot of like the original Hunger Games. It's like reaping, training, interviews, games, because it's literally Hamish's experience the same way we got Katniss's experience. And for that reason, I adored this book. You know, when you watch your favorite show and then you finish it and you're like, oh, I wish I could watch that for the first time again. Or even your favorite book, you're like, I wish I could read that for the first time again. I feel like this gave me a chance to like get that first time feeling again, because I was reading a new story that was in like the same structure of the original Hunger Games book that I have so much love for, and I wish I could read for the first time again. So it just felt like I got to do that with a different character story, and for that reason enjoyed it so much. Again, if you're not a super fan of the series, if you really don't care to read more about it, like if you're indifferent, I think this is pretty pointless. Like it doesn't really add to the story. It's just like fun to read. It definitely adds context, but like the trilogy is finished, so we kind of know where it ends. I did also start our next book because I was traveling today and it was just a day trip, so I had a bunch of time to read, and I started The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. This is the next new release. I don't know when this came out, but it did come out recently. And I really was not interested in it at first because it's not that I didn't love the Magnolia Park series, it's just that I never got super invested in it. Like I know people like fangirl are diehard for the Magnolia Park series, and I don't know why I just never got there. I mean, to be fair, I only read the first book and then I never kept reading. So because of my prior experience with her books, I wasn't going to pick this up necessarily, but I did hear a few people talk about it and they raved. I was also excited that it's like a new world, a new series, so I can kind of like try Jessa Hastings writing again. So this is The Conditions of Will, and I'm on page 73, and it is really good so far. You can see I took out my pen good, like I was annotating. It was so good that I was honestly shocked. I just wasn't expecting it. So far what I've gathered is our main character, her name is Georgia, and she lives in London, but she comes to South Carolina for a funeral, and South Carolina is like where her family is from, so they're very traditional. She really does not get along with her family, and so we're getting to see all of those dynamics because she's back home for a funeral, and like they're all staying in the same house again, her and her siblings. There's a lot of drama, there's like fighting, but it's like really entertaining. And she also talks about just like very real life topics, as most romance novels do, which I appreciate and I like because it makes it much more relatable. Something that's really struck me about this book is I love Georgia's character. The way she thinks about things is just so unique, and she kind of specializes in like emotional intelligence, so the way she analyzes people is from that perspective, and we get to read about it. And she's very observant of like body language because she's like trained in that, so it's just like super cool. I've never read a POV like that. And then she gets introduced to a guy named Sam, and he is her brother's sponsor, but I'm not going to say more than that because I don't want to like spoil anything. But essentially he like accompanies one of her siblings to South Carolina where they're all meeting up, and there's a little bit of sparks, there's a little bit of something. She's building the tension really well. It's not insta-lovey in my opinion at all, which is really nice. They're kind of like, I don't know, they just pick up on things about each other in a very romantic way. Also their banter, like their chemistry is so good. It's so good. And I just love the setting. I love the crazy family drama. I love her like returning back to her traditional household. I love her and Sam's relationship. I love her and her brother's relationship. Like it's really good. I really like it so far. Like I'm flying through it. This is when reading flows and it just feels so easy because you're like thoroughly enjoying the book and you're just like flying through it. It's the best feeling. Convince me otherwise that there's a better feeling. Today I tried to film a video. It went horribly wrong. I've decided instead, since I finished all my other work, I'm just going to spend the day reading. This has genuinely brought my little romance reader heart back to life. Because I can't even tell you how long it's been since I felt what a 5-star romance read makes me feel like. And like, I don't know if this is 5 stars for sure, but it's just giving me those feelings, like that intense attachment to the characters and like blissful enjoyment of the book and the story, and just like being so wrapped up in it that I always am so excited to open this book. It's actually not even like a very pleasant situation that Georgia's in. She's surrounded by family she doesn't get along with. She is dealing with death in the family. But Jessa Hastings writes even all of that in such a way that makes me like so connected to the entire story, and I'm just like obsessed with it. Like, I'm binging it. It's giving me like all the feelings I need to feel to binge a book. And let me tell you, I was genuinely so surprised because I did not have expectations. It gives you like the drama and also like the emotional depth and emotional connection, but also like complicated family dynamics. And it's just like there's so many themes in this book. There are even like really heavier topics mixed in with this. I would look up the trigger warnings just to be sure that you're okay reading it. Even when she mentions like those really serious heavier topics, like the tone that she does, it's just with such like empathy and like well-rounded understanding that it just makes it's such a pleasant read. And I love that she brings in like those deeper topics, and she talks about God a lot. She talks about her complicated family. I mean, there's a lot. There's stuff that her brother goes through that you get to read about. He's lived a really hard life too, and she's lived a really hard life, but there's still like an equal amount of like fun mixed in with it and like lightheartedness. Like, I truly don't know how she does it, but it's just like really, really good, and I'm just like so incredibly obsessed with it. This is like my 3rd day reading it, and for me to already be on page 200, like that's pretty quick for me. And also I'm like gonna be so sad when it's over. I feel like I'm gonna have a book hangover when this one ends. Whenever I read 5-star romances, they always remind me of my other favorite 5-star romance books, and I think it's just because of like the feeling they all give me. They're mentioning a character named Anatole. I just have an inclination that he's from the Magnolia Parks universe, and I'm like missing this. They also mentioned Julian, which I know is from Daisy Hates. If you have read Jessa Hastings' backlog, and I really, really like this book, and you've read this book, should I read Magnolia Parks? Or were you not a fan of it? Should I not read it? I don't know. Give me your recommendation. It's raining outside and I have 0 plans for the rest of the day. Raina is out of town, so I'm home alone for the next few days. Let's see how much we can get through. It's 4 p.m. Look at this very adult purchase I made the other day. Spending my money wisely. Guys, this book literally has me giggling and like kicking my feet. Sam Penny, The Man You Are. And The Woman Who Wrote You. Jessa Hastings, The Woman You Are. Because it's so good. It's so good. It just got good. Nothing like a good old Will reading to shake up the family. It's later in the night. I'm still reading. I have little Miss Ruby keeping me company here. And I'm on page 337, so I have about 100 pages left. They're on a little sibling side quest right now, and what I love about this book is I feel like it has everything. And those are the romances that I feel always are my favorite, is when they just have like so many different aspects to the plot besides just the romance that make it that much better. And this book has that. Like, it really checks all my boxes. It has family drama, it has toxic drama that is like obviously not good for the characters but really interesting to read about. It also has like deeper topics, heavier topics. It has emotional depth. I love the sibling dynamic, even though some of it is like really strained and toxic. I just like love when siblings, or like friends in general, but when there's like a found family type of thing, even though they're not like a completely happy family, some of them really start to grow on you. And I just feel like I've spent so much time with these characters. I feel like I know them so well. Jessa Hastings did such a good job giving them backstory and giving them just like such unique characteristics individually that they make up like such a fun clan of people that you're just like so happy to read about. Again, this is all like kind of ironic because it's all in the midst of like some really heavier, not ideal circumstances, but there's like a certain lightness to the fun characters in this book. I will say Sam Penny is just such a good male main character. He's sweet, he's kind, he's compassionate, he is prioritizing their connection. And I think what's also fun is a lot of it is like forbidden for reasons that I won't say, obviously, to not spoil it, but their romance is like forbidden and kind of like a secret, so it's fun to like have that tension throughout the entire story, and it makes the romance just that much like sweeter when you get those pieces. Also, it's definitely more mature than Magnolia Parks. I think that's what I was trying to get at. More of like contemporary adult romance, typical, rather than like the super crazy toxicity that Magnolia Parks followed, but both are fun in their own ways. I just like love what she's doing with this. I'm back with my last update because last night I finished The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings, and I feel like I've said everything I need to say about this book, but all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed like every single part of this book. I rated this a 5 stars because this just like, it felt like a 5-star read to me. Like, even after I finished the book, I always know when I have a book hangover, and I think this has given me a bit of a book hangover because I can't stop thinking about the characters and the storyline, and every time I think about it, it makes me like, I like reminisce on it. Like, I want to go back into that story. They're so clever and witty and like funny, even though there's like some very serious situations going on around them. I love Georgia as our main character, and I love her and Sam's relationship because I feel like there is a lot of emotional depth to it, and that's just like what drew me in. Like, you truly get to see like their chemistry build and the tension build. Just like why they choose each other makes a lot of sense. I love seeing Sam like take care of Georgia, especially because that's not something she's used to. I haven't had a 5-star romance read in probably months. Like, I just don't remember the last time I felt these feelings from a romance book. I feel like I have a lot more luck with like fantasy and even other genres. Her writing is beautiful. The metaphors she uses, I highlighted quite a few things in here. Now I'm kind of like, should I like keep going with the Magnolia Park series? I feel like it's the plot that I don't connect with rather than her writing, because this showed me that I actually love and adore her writing. Now to pick our next book, I have a little stack here of some new releases that I have picked up recently. I'm definitely still in a romance mood. So I didn't know if I should read the new Emily Henry or the new Carley Fortune. They are both 2 of my favorite authors. Obviously, Emily Henry for me is in like top 3 authors. Carley Fortune though is like really up there for me. I feel like she gets a lot of mixed opinions on her book, and I for the most part just like love them. Like, they're always 5 stars, but her book last year just like literally blew me away. I think it was my favorite book of the summer, so I just have like really high hopes. So between these two, I'm gonna dive into reading One Golden Summer by Carley Fortune. First of all, this cover is insanely stunning. She always does really, really beautiful covers, but look at the inside. It has like this really pretty sheen to it. Started this book last night. I'm only like 10% through. I actually started reading it in the middle of the night when I couldn't fall asleep. It was like 5 a.m. I'm gonna go outside and read because it just feels right to read this book outside, and I might try and get some sun if it starts to hit better. Actually, I should just tan. Why not? I have nothing else to do. I think I'm gonna tan and read this book. I think it's been 2 days since I updated. The first major update is that I have basically been reading it wrong, which is like, how do you read a book wrong? Well, I think I'm like 38% through the book. I've been reading it on my Kindle, and around 37% I realized I had been reading it wrong, which just made me feel so stupid because, I mean, it's not like major, like I'm happy I caught it, but basically this is a sequel to Every Summer After, which I think is her debut novel, also put Carley Fortune on the map. And so this is actually a sequel to that, and I wish I had known that, and I wish I had picked up on that earlier, and I like was picking up on it, but I didn't actually realize it, and I'm really happy I looked it up because I think it makes reading the story obviously very different. This book is about Charlie Florrick, which Every Summer After is about his brother Sam Florrick and Percy, so it's about Sam and Percy, and Charlie is Sam's brother. And we get a lot of Charlie in the first book too, so he's like a character we're very familiar with. They would talk about like the two boys and the girl, which is Sam, Charlie, and Percy from the first book, and they would like allude to it constantly throughout the first 30%, and I was like, are they talking about them? It's very obvious. I think I just really was not, I don't know, brain fart, like was not connecting the dots. Essentially what's happening is Alice returns to the lake and she goes back with her grandma because she wants to like disconnect from work, reconnect with her grandmother. Her grandmother's been going through like a hard time, so she decides to go back to the lake where her grandma took her for one summer when she was 17. And this summer had such an impact on her life that she just like remembers loving the lake. She remembers loving Barry's Bay, which is like so fun as a reader to get to go back there, especially if you loved the first book. The ambiance and the setting of Barry's Bay is so cute, and it's just like the perfect like romance. Like I think she did perfectly with that book besides the ending. And now that Alice is back in Barry's Bay, she runs into Charlie, which is a boy that she remembers like just seeing, vaguely interacting with when she was 17, and she remembers seeing them across the lake, which is when the first book past POV is taking place, if that makes sense. And they just like reconnect, and we get to see them just like build a friendship basically. So that's really fun. I just wish I had known, because I was like so not into it the first 30% of the book. I was like not connected to the characters. But it makes a lot more sense that this is a sequel, because then we don't really need backstory on Charlie because we have so much backstory on him. So definitely know that going into it. It's also really cool because Sam and Percy make appearances within this book, and I wonder if they're going to be like a big part of the storyline because they're at like such a different point in life from the last time we read about them and got to meet them, and it's like really, really fun to see where their romance has gone because I just loved them so much. One thing about Carley Fortune's writing, which I feel like is why it's never like a full 5 stars for me, is it's very physical. Like the romance is very physical, not just in terms of like spice, but like it's the attraction is always like physical, and it's always like related to how they look, and it's always describing how they look first rather than like how they make each other feel. So that in itself is I think after reading Jessa Hastings, I'm feeling a bit spoiled because her writing is so lyrical. It's so beautiful. There was so much chemistry, like physically but emotionally, so I feel like this one's lacking on that end for me a little bit. Just like their chemistry it's all right. I'm like really enjoying the fact that we're getting a book for Charlie. There's nothing like necessarily wrong with it. It's just not making me like feel anything, you know. That's kind of my thoughts for right now, but I'm gonna get farther in and then I'm gonna update you because now I have a completely different perspective reading it, that obviously these are characters we know. Now I'm gonna read it through that POV and hopefully I can connect more with the story. So I have a few little updates for One Golden Summer. I feel like I am enjoying it so much more, obviously in the context of it being a sequel to Every Summer After. I think this one is a lot more like, I guess you could say like slow burn than her other romances, because I feel like with her other books, she like immediately jumps into the romance, and like in this book it's like they fall for each other like pretty early on, but nothing else happens until much later in the book, which I actually really like. I was feeling like maybe it was like a little bit forced between Charlie and Alice, but as we get to see like their friendship develop, which I feel like she does a lot of scenes of, like there's so much to their friendship that we get to see that actually makes it really like endearing and really sweet, and I feel like has changed my mind on the romance, because now I'm like a lot more into it. I'm like 69% through the book. So I think what I love about Carley Fortune's books is not just the romance. Like her settings are so near perfect to me, like I just can't even explain it. Like I think that makes me enjoy her books so much. Like the romance is good, and I love the way she writes male main characters, their emotional traits and characteristics, and then just like who they are to the female main character is always so good, and just like, I don't know, something about it. I love the way she writes them. What I love even more is the way she writes settings, and this setting and just being at Barry's Bay, being at the lake, it is so summery. It is so beautiful. Like the cottage scenes and the little kind of like home cozy party scenes with Sam and Percy, and just like the entire setting of it being on the lake and the boat rides and the jet skis, like it is just so good. It makes me so excited for summer. I just want to like go experience that. What is kind of nice is like a lot of people had really mixed feelings for Every Summer After because of the ending, and like there is a little bit of resolution to that. It is mentioned in this book. You kind of get to see like how the characters have dealt with it. I do feel like it adds resolution. Like I feel like it's good that she revisited that, because that was such a obviously like big shock, especially for the characters, just like the integrity of the characters. I feel like it definitely helps you have like some closure when it comes to that situation. I love Sam and Charlie. Like I just love their characters so much. I love Percy so much, and I love Alice's character a lot. She seems very like down to earth, like very girl next door. I guess you get to see her like let her hair down, and we get to see her like explore a more fun side of herself that she feels like she hasn't had in a long time. Sorry if I look crazy. It has been a very long day road tripping, but I feel like my feelings kind of stayed the same. Can you hear the thunder? It is so stormy outside. There's a tornado warning, which we never really get those here. I just have to say, love Carley Fortune. My love for her books is so steady. I just love her writing. To me, she writes some of the best setting, and I genuinely think that makes her books. And I remember saying this last year because I read her last book in a reading vlog also. I feel like truly I would have liked it more if I had understood from the very beginning of the book like what was happening and like the extent of the characters. I think that took away from my reading experience a little bit, because we had already gotten into the romance. They had already had their meet cute by the time I realized like who Charlie actually was. So for that reason, I ended up rating it like a 3.5 stars, which is high rating. That is so solid for a romance book. That is, whoa. That is so solid of a rating for a romance book to me. That means I recommend it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were some parts that fell a little bit flat for me, but overall really enjoyed it. I have actually started our next book. I started it today because, like I said, we were road tripping home, so I had like 4.5 hours in the car, and I wasn't driving. I was being the passenger princess that I am meant to be. Sorry, my camera died, but I was going to read the new Emily Henry book. Then I heard some of the synopsis, and I just feel like I'm not really in the mood for that kind of a romance right now. And I'm really loving what I'm reading, and I don't want to slump myself out, so I want to read books that I'm excited to read, and one of those is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I was a little bit nervous to read this because I know it's gonna be good and I know I'm gonna love it, but the themes of the book I feel like are going to be like, they're gonna hit so hard and I'm gonna get so emotional while reading it, because I am the most nostalgic person to ever walk the planet. And I can just tell that this book is going to make me so nostalgic, and I was right, because I've cried like 4 times while reading this book, and I'm not even joking. Like, my eyes keep welling up with tears because it hits on themes that are just so relatable, but also so close to my heart. Like, he talks about grief a lot, he talks about loss, and if you've ever lost someone you love, the way he explains it is so real. It's so spot on. My favorite thing that Frederick Bachman does is symbolism. Like, his symbolism is so beautifully crafted. I felt this way with Beartown. Like, I was just shocked at how he used hockey as a metaphor for essentially life and a lot of different struggles that people were going through. Yeah, he's doing the same thing in this in such a genius way. Like, I can't even say enough good things about this book right now. I think I'm like a little bit over 100 pages in, like 25% through, and I literally, from the jump, from the first sentence, he hooked me. Like, it was beautiful. It makes me reflect on my own life, which I love. Also, it's about like the friends you make when you're young and kind of like their effect on your life. A lot of it is about a teenager's friendships that are formed from like some of the most vulnerable stages of your life, especially like when you're 15. I also this past weekend saw like a lot of hometown friends. It was so nice, and that nostalgia is hitting with this nostalgia. So it's like right book, right time, which is like the best feeling. Okay, I need to give you an update on My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I have been switching between reading it and listening to it. I am on chapter 32 right now. I don't know what percentage that is through the book. I'm assuming it's like 40% through the book. And it is so good so far. I can't even imagine what he's gonna do for the next like 60% because we've already gotten so much. At the beginning of the book, we're introduced first to one of our main characters. Her name is Louisa, and she is a 18-year-old teenage girl who has had a very rough life so far, just basically raising herself. Where we're introduced to her, she is in the middle of, I guess you could say, like a very lonely point in her life, a defiant point in her life. And so she runs into a man that she has a deep connection to. I didn't mention this, but this is super important. She's an artist, and that is kind of like the main theme within this book is art. And I feel like a huge metaphor and lens that Frederick Bachman uses for every other thing that he's exploring. Kind of the way in Beartown he uses hockey, I feel like for this one he's using art. One of the main things we learn about is that Louisa's hope comes from this very special art piece that she holds super dear to her heart, that has like basically been like a light for her in her life. And so that painting is super significant because it holds like a whole story within it, and we get to know the artist who painted it. We get to know the other 2 friends who are in the painting. It's basically like a rendition of the cover of the book. Okay, I'm actually gonna read the Goodreads summary for this because there's like so much happening and I don't want to spoil a lot of it. Louisa, soon to be 18 years old, is an aspiring artist herself. She's determined to find out the story behind these 3 enigmatic figures. More than 2 decades before, in a distant seaside town, a group of teenagers find refuge from their bruising home lives by spending long summer days on an abandoned pier, telling silly jokes, sharing secrets, and committing small acts of rebellion. These lost souls find in each other a reason to get up out of bed every morning, a reason to dream, a reason to love. So it really talks about like the hope that friendship gives you. She embarks on a surprise-filled journey cross-country to discover how the painting came to be and to decide what to do with it. The closer she gets to the painting's birthplace, the more anxious she becomes about what she'll find. My Friends is a stunning testament to the transformative, timeless power of art and friendship. Throughout Louisa's journey to find the story behind this painting, we get to know these 3 kids that the painting is based off of, and their stories and how their friendship affected the artist's life so much that this painting was like his origin point as an artist, but also how alike they are to Louisa. And so Frederick Bachman, if you've read any of his books, he does this thing where he gives such intricate stories to each of the characters that you genuinely feel like you're being told a story that has actually happened. Like, I feel like I'm being told a story of real people. Not only that, his writing is stunning. The quotes, I was literally crying for the first 30% of the book. He just gets the human experience, and he gets how we all relate to that as humans. As you're reading this fictional story, you're like reflecting on your own life and your own emotions and your own experiences, because you're like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what he's talking about. Like, I have been through that. I've been through something similar. And I think the theme of this book so far is that friendship truly carries us. And I'm just reading from my notes because I wrote this down while I was reading it. And the lessons it teaches us, even after those friends are long gone, have made us who we are. The people that have made it worth like living and loving, and just how truly rare that is. It's rare that you keep those friendships throughout your life, and it's even more rare that you even find them in the first place, and he really emphasizes that. I love how he's using art as a way to like articulate all of this and talk about it. Chef's kiss. Only thing is, this video needs to go up in 1 to 2 days, so we gotta wrap this thing up. I'm on chapter 46. I'm 78% through the book. I'm going to record like me finishing this book because I just think it's probably gonna make me cry, because I keep crying periodically while reading this. Like, you should know this is a sad book because heartbreaking stories are told throughout it, but it shows you to look at like the little joys in life. So it's not like all just sad. There's so much like light still mixed in with it. And I think that's like the purpose of what Frederick Bachman was doing. So I do want to mention, like, for context of the review, that Louisa goes on this journey with one of the boys from the painting of the pier. He's obviously a man now, but they do run into each other, and that's all I'm gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you who, I'm not gonna tell you how. She crosses paths with this man who is in this painting that has changed her life, and so he ends up telling her like so many stories of their friendship and like the stories behind that painting, and that's so much of the book, and it's really heartbreaking because each of their stories is really, really heartbreaking, as is Louisa's. And so that's just like one thing to know, is that this book is sad. It's really sad. It deals with things like grief a lot. I find it really comforting to read about other people's experiences with grief, so I actually like really enjoy that part. And I think that's something that like Frederick Bachman is actually trying to illustrate, is that like we're all human, we've all had these experiences, and even Louisa finds so much comfort in this man and his stories because she's experienced so many of the same things. It's so beautiful like getting to read about their friendships, because the true like solace that these friends find in each other, the trust that they build at such a young age with each other, and they're all so alone in their own way. And so that's why like the fact that they build such a strong bond with each other, it truly is the kind of bond that can only be broken by death. And I think that in itself is such a treasure. And so you kind of see how like their friendship is the light within their lives. I also love how he gives like so many different characters backstories within his books, like how I said he intricately like really lays out each character for you, because I feel like each reader can find someone they connect to. Like each reader can find something in one of the characters that they have been through or something similar that they've been through. And it just goes to show like how different we all are, but how similar we all are. It's like you just want the best for these kids, but life is so unfair, and it really just takes it out on them. And so that in itself is just like hard to read about. That being said, I'm going to finish the book. Like I said, I have like 20% left, so I'm gonna sit here and finish it, and I will record my reaction because I just feel like I'm gonna have reactions. I wanna like look at this one. It just goes to show like their bond with each other. Yeah, really, because you smell like a pile of garbage, Elise said, but in a way that if you had heard the words in a language you didn't understand, you would have sworn she was saying, I love you. Sometimes we remember the moments before a great catastrophe as more beautiful than they actually were. I think it's because you realize that living before the catastrophe was actually way more beautiful than you had even realized. I am here with a final update because you guys saw I finished My Friends. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I rated this book a 5 stars easily. I feel like his writing just makes it so easy to fall into a story and connect with it on such a personal level. This is now my 2nd book from him. I can't wait to keep reading more. I mean, this book like made me cry a record amount of times, if I'm honest. Like I just kept getting tears in my eyes because the way he would explain things just hit home on so many like experiences that I've been through, and I know a lot of people have been through. For that reason, I just like admire his storytelling so much. The way he ended it all and like really wrapped it up was in a way that I was not expecting. I thought I knew it was gonna happen, and then he took things in a different direction, and I love the way the book ended. I'm just gonna read you what I wrote in my Goodreads review because I feel like this sums up my feelings really well. This book brought me to tears a record amount of times. It's so rare to find people just like you in this lifetime, and it's such a treasure when you do. That's what Louisa finds when she meets the artist to her favorite painting. The teenagers we read about have little to nothing within their own lives, but everything when they're together. They find trust, love, loyalty, solace, comfort, and so much more within their time together. So much so that even for the short amount of time they really had with one another, the effects of their friendship last their entire lifetimes. Frederick Bachman explores loss, companionship, grief, and much more, bringing words to the emotions we each experience every day. And that was a nice reminder that we're never alone. How do people survive being human? I don't know, but I don't think anyone does either. These characters are such precious people to each other. I'm so happy I got to spend time with their stories and see some of mine in their lives too. If that sounds like something you would like, then I think you would really, really like this book. Like I said, it's a sadder, heavier read, so pick a good time for it. But when you're ready to like embark on this story, I think it is something I highly, highly recommend. Guys, look at how many highlights I have in this book. I'm gonna go back through later today and like actually annotate it in my physical copy. So this is from page 43, and this is what I feel like was one of the biggest connections I made to the book. The quote says, "Being human is to grieve constantly," because what he really wants to know is how the hell do all the rest of you cope? And when I read that, I like chuckled to myself because the older I get, this is actually something I face. I realize that we're going to face constant loss in our lives until we die. And the older I get, the more of, I guess you could say, like a problem I've had with that. And I really do look around sometimes and I'm like, how the hell are we supposed to get through this? Like, I read that line, I was just like, I'm not the only one that feels that way. Oh my gosh, other people actually feel that way. And I love how he says being human is to grieve constantly, because I actually think that's true. I think even in just my 25 years, I realized that what is on the flip side is beautiful things that are waiting for me and also a lot of loss, and that scares the shit out of me. And so I just like love that he wrote that in, because I was like, yes, like this is exactly how I feel, because it's been a painfully short life, the blink of an eye, a single summer's day. Ted's chest hurts like crying without oxygen, because grief does so many strange things to people, and one of those things is that we forget how to breathe, as if the body's first instinct is to grieve itself to death. Yeah, it's a long life, but fast. One single step in the right direction can be enough. I mean, I feel like it's gonna be one of my favorite reads of the entire year, because I just connected to it personally so much. That is where I'm gonna leave this video. This went way better than I could have anticipated, and I think the releases did live up to the hype. That is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you like the reading vlogs or the regular vlogs, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!